Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam. In this video, I'm going to show you my process for growing potatoes in grow bags. I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina, Zone 7B, and I could grow potatoes in the ground, but I have a heavy clay soil and I just get limited results by doing it above ground in the grow bags. They just kind of go wild in these bags, honestly, and you get quite a bit, you get a lot more yield doing it above ground in these grow bags. Lots of things you need to know about them. Number one, they're porous. The side of the bag is porous, and they dry out pretty regularly, so they do require a little more water growing this way. But outside of that, really almost no maintenance whatsoever. I did this exact same method last year, and I'll show you some of that footage as we go along. I got my seed potatoes. I've got several varieties, and I have more still inside that I'm going to be doing as well. I actually cut these a week or so ago, and I just covered them in a pot with some. It could have been compost, could have been pine bark. Doesn't really matter what it was. Happened to be some pine bark that's moist, and I've already got roots on these. But I just divided them inside based on where the eyes were, and so I've got 3 different varieties that I'm doing today. Last year, I grew in these 7-gallon grow bags, and it definitely, I think it restricted the yield a bit. They're just a little bit too small for what I'm doing here. So this year, I've upgraded to some 15-gallon grow bags. You can do this in 100% compost. I'm going to do, I've got soil cube compost out here on my driveway that I just opened up a fresh bag this morning. And again, last year I did it in 100% compost. I've got a little bit of pine bark this year, and I'm going to have that blended in just a little bit for no other reason than I'm cutting the cost a little bit of the amount of money it would take to fill a 15-gallon grow bag with compost, because I can get that pine bark bulk in the back of my pickup for a little bit less money than just pure compost. And so I've just got it blended into this wheelbarrow right here, and it's just compost sitting on top of bark. All I do here is just put a layer of the compost and bark mix in the very bottom, and it's probably a little more than half compost, really. I put about a 3-inch layer in the bottom of the bag. This is exactly what I did last year, and then I layer my potatoes right on top of that, and I'll get you up close here to see that. So here's an up close. That's the soil cube compost. It works great for this, and it can be reused in the garden after I grow the potatoes in them. And then here's some pine bark right here that's just blended into it. Again, you can just get just do this in straight compost without any problem, as long as it's a quality product. Again, here's the 15-gallon grow bag, and I've put about 3 inches of that mix into the bottom of it. So the potatoes in here are red New Orleans. I actually bought these seed potatoes from Home Depot, and right there is where the growth started initiating. I cut these in half about a week and a half ago, and I had done it a little earlier than I wanted to actually plant the potatoes, and that's why I ended up putting them in these buckets. I could have just cut the potatoes, let them heal overnight, and then gone ahead and put them in the bag, but for reasons unknown to Jim, I cut them a week or so earlier than I actually was going to be doing this project, and I just put them in here, and look how quickly they've initiated roots. I'm just going to put these in the bottom of the bag, spaced. This one has not started to root, but you can see the eye right there where the growth is going to come from. I'm going to put these maybe about 4 inches apart. Again, about 3 inches off the bottom. You can see roots coming here, and again all the way around. I don't know how many pieces I'll end up with in this 15-gallon container yet, but this is actually super easy. I mean, there's really just not much to this. This is a grow bag with a compost and bark blend, which could be compost only, with seed potatoes that have started to form eyes like that. And then I cut them in half, and you could put the whole potato in here. I didn't even have to cut them, but I like to get some extra pieces out of them. But again, How many am I ended up with here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 so far. Let's do 13, not to leave an unlucky 13. We'll do 14 in there. Okay, and what I'm going to do is cap that off real quick with about 2 to 3 inches more of this compost and bark blend. We're not filling the bag up. We're going to let the growth on the potatoes come up week by week and fill it up as we go, as we see the growth, the green growth coming up above the soil. So that's literally the entire process. And so each week, I'll start to see green growth probably within a week and a half. When I do, I'll cover that back up again with another 2 to 3 inches until the bag is completely capped off. I don't come over the top of the bag with the soil though, because I find that the water ends up running over the edge. I need a little bit of a lip here to capture some of the water when I'm watering, and these do require they definitely do require some watering. So I've got 2 more varieties. Again, these were red Norlands here. I've got some a blue variety right here that I'll do next. One of the other important things when we're growing potatoes like this in grow bags, we're limiting soil-borne diseases that potatoes can get by having them above the ground. But if you set this bag directly on the ground, that just kind of nullifies that, and you can still get disease issues move right up into the bag. So I will set these on blocks to create a separation between the bag and the ground. So the process is the same over and over. I'm just, again, putting this blended mix into the bottom of the bag about 3 inches deep, and then layering my potatoes on top of that. While I finish doing these, I've got, I think, 5 more I'm going to be doing here. You can see on the ones from last year, the foliage coming up week over week, and then I cover it up each time, and then it's after once the bag is full, it's just a matter of time. It's so hot in my area that potatoes tend to burn off, by the 1st of June, really, the foliage starts to burn off on them. I let the foliage burn back to the container, and probably wait about a week or 2 before I harvest them at that point. One mistake to avoid is I have 3 different varieties of potatoes, and I don't want to mix varieties in the same container because they will take a different amount of time. So it'll be real tempting, to go into the store and buy a couple varieties and then, mix them into the same container. One of these will finish much faster. You'll see the foliage. I've got, with 3 different varieties and 6 bags over there, I'll see the foliage die back at different times on each of them. So here's some Kennebecs, same thing. Right there, lots of roots coming on them, new growth coming, which will end up at the top of the bag. I'll try to orient the growth, the roots down and the growth up for where the foliage is going to come. When I can, some of these are both going in the same direction. I'm just not going to worry about it. They'll figure their way out to the top of this pot. Exact same thing though, guys. I'm just taking about 14 pieces in this pot. So again, this is such a simple process. It's grow bags that you can get on Amazon. I think the 15-gallon ones will yield you more potatoes than the 7-gallon ones. 25-gallon ones are almost just over the top and would be hard to move around if you had to move them around. They do require a little bit more monitoring of the water. You'll see the foliage, not for a little while, but once they're rooted in, you'll see the foliage starting to wilt pretty frequently by middle of spring, especially in the south where I'm at. And normally, I would just tell you to subscribe to my channel to see how these performed, but I can actually go back and show you harvesting the potatoes last year from this exact same method, and you can see how much I got just out of a few 7-gallon containers. So these are all golds here, and these are red New Orleans, and these are all blues. I think I used like six seed potatoes total to do this. I definitely could have waited another week, maybe two. I believe nothing was in danger in those bags, but enough of the foliage had died completely back that I was starting to get nervous about those plants. So here they are. I think this is a pretty good haul for 6, 7 gallon or 7 to 10 gallon grow bags. So as always, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that little bell notification so you know when I upload a new video. Thanks for watching.